right, so hello everybody. Thank you so much for coming to this week's napping clinic. As always, we have our check-in link on the board and posted in our Discord as well, if that's more convenient for you. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the music director at Robert Frost Middle School, Tina Curtis. Thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you. And just to find out about you for a second, how many are percussionists? How many percussionists? Well, you two are. And then wind players? Okay, well, wind players. String players? Brass players? There you go. Okay. All right, just finding out who's in the room, you know what I mean? Because, oh, sorry, and vocal majors, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. So, it's interesting, I was asked to talk about how do you start a middle school percussion ensemble? Because at Frost, for years, we are the only LAUSD school that has had a concert percussion ensemble. No other LAUSD has a concert percussion ensemble. And I tell the kids, you guys may remember it, I tell them, enjoy what you have right now because you will not see this again until you go to a four-year university. You just won't. And you'll go into high school, you'll have marching band, drumline, and so forth, but you will not have concert percussion ensemble in this type of setting. And just over the last 2 years, a couple of other schools have come to me and say, hey, can you help us? How do we start a concert percussion ensemble? And so I want to give you the nuts and bolts of it, because here's the truth. As you would go into teaching, maybe you're a wind player and your goal is to teach band. And then they say, by the way, you're teaching, as my case, you're teaching ESL, English as a second language, because it works in your credential. Then they said, and by the way, you're teaching choir, and I'm a percussionist. And I'm like, okay. So I want to give you the nuts and bolts so that if you should have a curveball thrown at you, you know, where do I start? What do I do? What are some resources that I could use? And so when I started the ensemble, I was actually hired to teach 6th grade English and history. And they knew that my background is in music, I have my degrees in music, and I have a music supplemental as my credential. And so they needed a music class at the school. There was no music band or orchestra teacher at the time. And so they said, you do music, don't you? And I said, yes. Well, I had been doing a percussion ensemble with my private students for years. And so I was able to just transfer over. But I knew that since we were starting at no background for these kids, they had not had any sort of background. My private students, obviously, I had started them. And so what I did was I started them with a drum circle. Because just getting them in and inviting them to play, and I brought a lot of my own instruments, because the school didn't have a bunch of congos and djembes and bongos and everything. So it was my instruments. So I brought them and I taught them how to do a drum circle. Just for your reference, this book by Kalani, he used to be known as Mike Bruno. Kalani's his middle name. He's a CSUN grad. He was here a few years before me, but he has really done a great job in drum circle facilitating, and this book is a very good one. So if you find yourself, oh no, what am I doing? This would be a great resource. So, and it comes, well, the old copies come with a CD or DVD. So, but I'll have that, so if you want to look at it, you can. So, Where to start? Teach the students how to read. You gotta teach them how to read. Because here's the deal. You are doing the biggest disservice if they don't know how to read. So as we were in that drum circle, I just needed them to make sound at first. So we talked about patterns, how to get the sounds out of the drums and so forth. And then I started to teach them the rhythms. So I got them in so that they could all participate and just like, okay, it's floating along, okay. And, you know, on an go-go bell or whatever. And then I was able to teach them how to read. Well, the way it works now, because that was semester 1, there was no background. The kids, when they come in now, they have a reference, like, oh, I've seen you guys, I've heard you guys, I had a brother or a sister in the program, my neighbor. So there's background. But at that time when I was starting square one, that's why I used a drum circle. So I encourage you, use something like that that's very community oriented, okay? But just so let's say you're teaching band and the kids come to you and say, can we start a percussion ensemble? Can we start a drum line? Might be a drum line. Take what you know and have them start reading. Have them start reading. On day 1 of the semester, I have the kids reading. On day 1 of any semester, there's always about a 2 to 3 week kind of floating. Kids are put in the wrong class by mistake. Kids are, oh, what am I in? And they move out. But it doesn't matter. If you're in my class on day 1, we're going to start reading. And the way I do it, I don't know if you have been in a class where they have taught you how to teach a kid to read. Have you had that experience yet? I don't know. Question answered? Have you? Okay, let me just show you what I do. Let me use right here, I drew this is for teaching them how to identify the keys on the valve instruments. But on day 1, I just write it up on the board. And so you guys may remember. So I write this on the board and I just go through and tell them, okay, and they have a handout and it has this and it has 9 other lines to it. And I tell them this is a time signature. I tell them the top number tells me how many counts in every measure. Well, what's a measure? So I have them write on their page, from here to here is a measure, or a bar. And it says I have to have 4. Well, in music you have symbols that mean make a sound, and in music you have symbols that mean shush. And these mean make a sound. So I see I've got 4, so good, it figures out, okay, all right. And so they write, and then I say these 2 lines and 2 dots, that's a repeat sign. So we're going to do that again. So I lead them through, okay, we're going to clap it, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we 1, 2, 3, 4, and we clap it. Okay, the next line down on their page has a rest, and I tell them, okay, that symbol means shush. Whenever you see that, that is 1 count of shush. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if that's all we get through, usually we get through a couple of lines of the handout that they have. And if I never see them again, because they're going to be in computer class now, they know how to read that much. They know what a measure is, they know what a time signature is, they know a repeat sign, and they know quarter notes and quarter rests from day 1. So they are on their way. They are on their way. I use this book. This book is by Garwood Whaley. I call it the mint chip book because it looks like mint chip ice cream. But this book, if you've ever looked at snare drum studies books, they are full of a lot of writing. a lot of writing. They'll have the line that you're going to play, and above it, they'll have counts, and below it, maybe in gray, so it's lighter, they'll have sticking. And then they'll have these instructions all over the place. And it's just so cluttered. But this etude book, it's just clean. So I've used the Whaley book. I encourage you, if you need a book, doesn't matter whether you're teaching a brass ensemble or wind ensemble or a string ensemble, if you want them to know rhythm, I would encourage you to get this book, Garwood Whaley, Fundamental Snare Drum Studies. It's clean, he gives you counts for one line. That's it. You want to write in more counts? If you need them, write them in. But what's great about this book is, where most band methods will stay with 4/4, 3/4, 2/4. Okay, he's got you in 3/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 9/8, 12/8. And he divides the book into chapters, and at the end of a chapter, you have a duet. And you can use the duet in whatever way you want. You can divide your class and say, okay, you guys are going to be in a pod of 4. You take the top line, you take the bottom. You're going to be in pairs of 2. You take the top, you take the... And the kids then have to count in. You can't just say, ready, go. They have to learn how to count in, and they have to keep steady time. But this book is great because it gets them going in odd time signatures that they wouldn't have experienced otherwise in a Yamaha band book, or Essential Elements, or a Standard of Excellence book. They don't go into those time signatures. And let's see, Wietze, you played Blue Rondo on the Turk. So when you learned it, and we were in 9, were you okay with it?
Well, yeah, you had me practice it by myself a lot.
Yeah.
And you gave me the solo.
I know, yeah. So, but point being, did the time signature shock you like, you mean there could be 9 notes in the measure?
I think at that time it was really exciting because it was it was like jazz music, and I think that, like I said, some of us know Nico here, but Nico and I still remember, we talked about it last semester, how that song was like breakthrough for both of us because that was like the first song that we were like, oh, it's not in 4, it's like groups of 3.
Yeah.
So that one hit specifically different.
Great. And by being exposed to the different time signatures through here, I think it helps you. I really do. I think it helps you. So this book, I brought some books if you want to look at them. Again, it's not just for a percussionist. You could have whatever instrumentalist. They need to know rhythm. And I think this is one of the best rhythm etude books that there is. All right. So the way that we do it at school, I start them on the rhythm etudes, and if you're in a class where you don't have a bunch of instruments, because when I started the program, as I said, I brought a lot of the instruments. But now, if you would go in to my room or to one of our concerts, we have a lot of things. We are very, very blessed. We've done a lot of fundraising, and we're very blessed. We have practice pads, we've got instruments and so forth. So what I do then is they'll clap or they'll have the practice pads, and you think, oh my gosh, because before COVID, the beginning classes were at 58 percussionists, get that. And so I have 2 beginning/intermediate ensembles and then 1 advanced. And the advanced, before COVID, because everybody took a hit at COVID, but before COVID, the beginning/intermediate groups they would max out at 58, because that's the most, I was out of instruments. The advanced class, they were usually about 46, 47, 48 kids in there. And because you figure, With the advanced, it whittles down. The beginning groups, kids realize, you know what, maybe I want to do a different elective, whatever. So you just figure it's going to go down. Well, how do you have practice pads enough for that many kids? What I do is I take folding tables. Our school has, for events and so forth, we have folding tables. So I borrow a cart full of tables, set them up, and we put the practice pads on the tables, and we play like that. So you don't have to have 500 practice pad stands either. Make it simple. And then we move to a non-pitched percussion piece. And there are many. I have a sample here. There's a piece that I use a lot. Do you remember Ensemble Uno? Did you guys play Ensemble Uno?
I don't think so.
No? Did you play Ensemble? No? Okay. I use it a lot, actually. But it's a piece for non-pitched percussion. And so I get the kids going on non-pitched percussion instruments first. Tom-toms, snare drums, cymbals, triangle, tambourine, all that. If you want to look at some ideas of that, this is a great collection. So put these right here. Then we move over to pitched percussion ensemble pieces. And the deal is, I asked the kids this morning, I said, what was the biggest hurdle? I asked the beginning kids. They've been playing all of 5 months. What was the biggest hurdle when you started? And they said, peripheral vision and understanding which note on the keyboard, or which note on the music meant which note on the keyboard. And so let me show you what I do to help them. You gotta give credit where it's due. Use this. So, Christine Travers she used to be at Valencia High School. This is how she taught, you remember? This is how she taught how to identify the notes on a keyboard. And she said, there's a big house and a little house. Excuse my drawing, it was quick. There's a big house and a little house. So here you've got a little house, the two. And here you've got the big house. So dogs live in little houses, people live in big houses. The dog is right there. Put the dog, and I give the kids a paper with a piano keyboard on it. I say, okay, that's where the dog is, write the dog. Deep. All right, now, the cat is trying to get in, so the cat is right here. So identify the cat. And so then we identify the dog over here and the cat over here. The elephant is too fat, can't fit in. Can't get into the little house, too fat. Eat. Okay. Now we're on the big house. People live in the big house. Okay. In order to get in, you have to go through the front door. There's the F. To exit, you must go through the back door. Telling you, use this. The people that live there, nice people. George is his name. George. Yeah, George is a good guy. And then his wife, Alice. Now, let me tell you what happened it was last semester. A dear friend of mine retired 2 years ago. She moved to Atlanta. And she was not a musician. Oh, her son was in the ensemble with me. But Tracy, she's in Atlanta now, and she says, hey, now that I'm retired, I am playing piano. She had a beautiful grand piano in the living room, never played it. But I'm learning piano, and she's like, I gotta buy one of those things from Amazon so you could glue the letters on the keyboard. I'm like, you don't need that. She's like, no, I do need it. I'm driving to school. It takes me 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the red lights. And I said, Tracy, in 5 minutes, I'm gonna have you know how to identify any note on that keyboard. And I told her what I just told you. I said, get a piece of paper and write this down. And she's like, oh my gosh, I don't need to buy that thing from Amazon. I said, see, you don't. Little house, big house. Little house, big house. So we move on to the pitch percussion ensemble pieces. And so this is, now we get into the nuts and bolts of you gotta know how to play everything, right? So the kids are like, wait a minute, I have to know how to play this and this and this and this. Yes, because that's what it is. You're a percussionist. You have to know. You have to know. And the reason I chose that, because see that idiot grin on SpongeBob? That's what kids will just wander by my classroom door and just kind of wander in like, me too. And it's like, no, no, no. And so, yeah. So you got to teach them to respect the instruments. And if you teach them to respect the instruments, then they will make sure that everybody around them respects the instruments. I had a girl today tell me, Miss Curtis, last year at our competition, did you know that one of the chaperones, when she was doing sign out for the kids, the parents will sign the kids out, right? She was leaning on the timpani and so this girl, she's like, oh, I'm so sorry, we need to load this drum. So then the lady, kept leaning on everything, and Sandra, the girl, she's, sorry, we have to load that, we have to load this, we have to load that. She's like, Miss Curtis, this mom didn't even respect the instruments. And I said, you gotta teach them to respect the instruments. Anyways, so they have to know how to play every instrument. And as you know, that's what's unique about percussion. Because as a brass player, if you're a trumpet player, you're a trumpet player. Maybe you're okay, we need a baritone player, all right. But you're not gonna be flip-flopping piece to piece. I'm playing tuba on this one, I'm playing trumpet on this one, then I'm gonna play a piccolo trumpet on this one, and then I'm going down to a euphonium. Your embouchure is just gonna be on the floor. You're not doing that. But as a percussionist, you just have to know that stuff. And so when you start your program, depending on your situation, and everybody's situation is going to be different, you may start with nothing, no instruments. So just getting practice pads is where you start. You may inherit a band room that has a few instruments. Use what you have. But teach your kids how to play each of those. The kids, there will be some that say, but I don't like to play that. That one's hard. Yeah, well, yes it is. Get on it. And so, that's just the deal. When I wrote the second bullet there, you have to routine the parts. And that may be foreign to some of you. Any percussion ensemble in a symphony, any percussion ensemble in a wind ensemble, or any percussion section in a wind ensemble, you have to routine the parts because everybody plays different parts of the percussion family, right? Well, let's say, we were just talking about West Side Story. Let's say you're on a show and you're doing West Side Story, and if you're the principal percussionist, you're gonna routine, okay, so-and-so, you're playing the mallet book, so-and-so, you're playing the timpani book, so-and-so, the drum set book would be separate. So-and-so, you're taking toms and snare and police whistle and all that. Then those players know what to bring and they know what to practice. I'm not practicing the vibe solo from Cool, I'm doing the tom solo in the Jet song. Boy, boy, crazy boy. No, that's Cool. Anyways, so you get what I mean. They have to know which part they're playing. So as the director of the ensemble, you have to routine it. And so let me go, I don't know if this is, I'm gonna leave it on there. You have to go through and write down a routine sheet. So who's playing what? And you write down their names. And then what I do is I put this online on the school website, the platform, and they see, oh, we have a new piece. Oh, I'm on marimba. Oh, I'm on timpani. I'm on whatever. So it's your job. If you just say, hey, we're going to play this piece called Detour, and that's all you give them, well, what part am I? Well, what do you just pick one. No, assign it. Assign it. You have to assign it. Again, it's different than if you were doing a string quintet. Obviously, if I'm a violin player, that's the part I take. If I'm a cello player, that's the part I take. You don't have to routine it. You just say, you're the bass player. You're the viola player. But for percussion, you have to routine it. So realize that that is different. So you're gonna go through and you're gonna make it so that on each piece, okay, you played timpani on this one, the next one, I want you to play marimba. You're on xylophone the next one, and you're on drum set the next one, you're on congas the next one. Whatever it is, so that you get them rotating around, okay? I know that for every instrument, you do need to teach setup and tear down. You need to teach how to put the flute together so you don't ram it together and bend everything. So you don't bend in the clarinet, I don't know what it's called, kind of like the brackets or whatever. There's the setup and tear down for every single instrument, but especially for percussion, because if you do it incorrectly, the chance of smacking your fingers and having an injury is very great. So you do have to take the time to allow for that. You have to allow the time to teach setup and tear down. All right. Then what we do, we move on to treble clef, and so the kids do their flashcards. I just take 3x5 cards, and I have the kids make the flashcards. Because if they make it, you know, there's a connection. If you are writing it out, there's something in your memory that it's committed more. There's more substance than if you just go buy a pack of flashcards, quiz yourself, but if you made them, it sticks, you know what I mean? So they make them, and then, as I told you, big house, little house. I hope you use that. It really, it's amazing how fast they get it. And then when they're standing in front of the mallet instruments, and we're, you know, beginning to put paper knowledge with physical doing. And it takes a minute, it does, it takes a minute. And I have to just remind them, okay, are you the note that you need to play? Is it in the big house or is it in the little house? And, oh yeah. Dog, the elephant. So, use treble clef identification worksheets. There are many books. This is a great book. Again, bringing you things that you may say, you know, let me take a picture of that, because if I'm in this situation, again, it's not restricted to percussion, whatever instrument you're teaching. The reason I like this one, again, I like a clean page. I don't like a lot of clutter on the page. And you guys would remember this stuff, eh? Yeah. So it goes very simplistically and very big and clean. That's why I use this one. So there are many other ones you could choose. There's online ones that have come out that are nice. Use what's good for you, but here's just some samples so you can see, oh, okay, that's good. And we start playing scales. We start with a C scale, we go over to the F scale, and I teach them circle of fourths. So year one, they know the whole circle of fourths. And time permitting, we can get into a little bit of the circle of fifths. And the reason I do circle of fourths first is because it's easy for them to remember 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. And I shouldn't say most, a lot of beginning pieces you find in B flat or F, maybe E flat. I know that's the case with band method books because of the brass players. But with percussion, it's interesting. With percussion pieces, a lot of times they'll be in the flat keys as well. more so than the sharp keys. So, teach them the nuts and bolts. Teach them the nuts and bolts. All right, basic instrument. This is my classroom. Those are some of the instruments in my classroom. Some of the instruments. This is a list, if you were gonna start an ensemble, I would say strive to get these instruments. Strive to get those instruments. Now here's the deal, if you're in an LAUSD school, you can, I don't know the right term, in the platform, I guess you'd say it, it's called Schoology. And there's a music teacher group. So you, like just today, somebody posted in there, hey, does anybody have some low brass instruments? I need a few more horns. And so if somebody has extra, sure, I have some, come and pick them up. Because it's in LAUSD. So if you, let's say, oh, I need a snare drum, I need a bass drum, does anybody have an extra? You're not alone, and there's a network, and you would be able to get some help. You know what I mean? So, all right. I think this is, I don't know if it's on mirroring or not. I don't know if you're gonna see, not that you're gonna see anything weird or wacky on my desktop, but I kind of feel weird when people see my desktop. How do I make it so they don't see my desktop? Does anybody know the tech?
Picture that's being projected until you're on what you want to show.
Okay. I forgot to put it on the thing on here, and I don't know if it's still set to it, so I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna pause that, and I wanna play for you this, okay, go ahead. Okay. Oh, good, it is. It's on. So this is the beginning ensemble. This is our winter concert. And so you see, or you hear, oh, I don't know if sound. How do I hook it up for sound? Do you have a cord? I have a cord. I have an aux cord. I have an aux cord.
HDMI should do its own. Just make sure it's outputting to the, What?
Did I told Nico to come out?
Okay. Oh, maybe it's on? They haven't started yet.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Nope. Not yet. Okay. Well.
I did.
Okay. I'll just use this. Can you disconnect me from whatever you connected me to? Is it still playing?
I did it, but I forgot which page.
Oh,
Did you go look at my phone?
We need a video of wheat. How about we have a video of wheats instead? Get a video of wheats.
Oh, there's videos of Wheats on YouTube. Yeah.
Do you have any embarrassing stories, Whitson?
Okay, I didn't drop the ball.
You didn't drop the wall?
All right, so these are the beginners. So you hear, you hear it okay? So, basic arrangements. And so let's see, it's 30, I think. So that's the beginning ensemble. Those kids, they were welcome to the quarter note August 14th, you know what I mean? And so now they're getting ready for a competition and a spring concert. So this group that I'll show you right now, then this will be the advanced ensemble. And these kids, if they're 7th grade, this is year 2 of playing. If they're 8th grade, it's year 3, 6th grade, 7th grade. And so this is a piece we did called Yo, Christmas Tree. Enjoy this arrangement of this familiar tune. So as soon as we're tuned on the timpani, here's Yo, Christmas Tree. Okay, Christmas. So that's the advanced ensemble there. And but you see where they progress from. You see where they come from. And so it can be done. It can be done. So let me go back to this. So your basic instrumentation, as I said, if you just get started with what you have, there are pieces that you can use to have the kids have fun with, you know what I mean? supplies. These are your basic supplies that you would want. So, because if I was, when they told me, you're teaching choir, I was like, oh, okay, how? What do I do? I called every friend who was a choir teacher, and I said, where do I start? What do I do? Give me square one. And I have to tell you honestly, that while they were helpful, I needed left foot, right foot, breathe is what I needed. I needed, where do I start? What is singing posture? I didn't know. I'm a percussionist. I could chew gum, eat a sandwich, and slouch, and I'd still sound fine. But they can't. You know what I mean? Really. But they can't. So I had to learn all that. So where do you start? I'm a brass player. Do you just grab anything and hit it? No. No. The reason I say 5A sticks is because they have little hands. Don't be getting any tree logs from a drumline instructor guide to telling you. That's some serious beef, those drumline sticks. It's too big for their hands, they're little. So 5A sticks, it's a good weight and it's a good length in their hands. Wood tip, because sometimes the nylon tip, the glue will come loose and it'll pop off. And then they're middle school, they throw it at each other. So wood tip, you don't have that. Orchestra bells, here's the bell. These are some mallets that we use, and because we're a school, budget is everything. Budget is huge. And as you see, we have a lot of gear, and we have good gear. We have really good gear. The first two comments is, whoa, that's a big group. Whenever we go to a competition, that's what the judges say in the little, what they record. What a big group. Wow, you guys have more equipment than most high schools and colleges. Well, we fundraise a lot. And the kids take care of the gear because they know you have this to play on because the people that came before you took care of it. So, and the mallets we use, these are Mike Balter unwound series, and these are great for both bell kits, orchestra bells or glockenspiel, and xylophone. They're not, don't get phenolite. Phenolite, that's that hard black acrylic material. It is so piercing to the ears. Don't get that. These are much more pleasing. And then if you need something a little harder, you go to the dark greens, which there's the numbers of them. And so that gets you started. Some people don't realize that vibe mallets and marimba mallets are different. Vibe mallets are cord, and marimba mallets are yarn. So I grabbed two different handles. But anyways, you can see the cord, and you can see the yarn. So you see, oh yeah, that's different. It's different. So for the people that are, I think you guys practice to do enough. So yeah, just seeing, okay, that's cord, this is yarn. So because you're playing on a wood instrument versus a metal bar instrument, so it's different. Yeah. And the Mike Balter Basics series is reasonable. It's reasonable for directors. And let me tell you, these mallets right here, these are not the basics. These are not Mike Balter Basics. These are regular Balters. Percussionists, this is just always in our bags. These are $54 a pair. So when okay, I know I'm being recorded, but whatever. So they're knuckleheads, they're middle school. I had a kid, and flap, it cracked. It broke in half. I said, you do know that that's $50 in your hand. And I said, and you broke it, and you bought it, and I'll expect the money. So I'm still waiting for it. I'm still waiting for it, yeah. So, but,
The kid's in college now, he still
Yeah.
hasn't.
no.
This whole thing was a sting to get this.
No. Oh, my goodness. But then, here's another thing though. Notice these mallets here. Now, depending on how many people you have, you could see we had 2 people on each instrument, on the marimbas. If you're talking low part of the marimba, you want, these are a softer mallet. So you'll get more resonance out of the low end. You won't get any sound out of the high end with these. You need those other mallets for the upper, mid to upper, okay? Most pieces are written for one person on each part. So you would use like a medium mallet and you would go up or down what you need. But in our case, we've got a kid at the low end, a kid at the high end. That's where they're living, this is where they're living. So that's why I have the softer mallets for the low end. And it just gives a nice bass tone too. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just saying, what are those?
Oh, these are Smith. These are the Smith mallets. Did I put these on here? Okay, I didn't put these ones on there, sorry. These are Smith. I just bought, and I can't remember. These are Smith ESM2s. I just bought a whole bunch of these, and I can't remember how much they are a pair. Yeah. And you know what? Mallets come in shaft of birch or rattan. Rattan is more flexible. I don't have any rattan up here. But rattan, if you're a percussionist, like a player, most of the time you're using rattan because there's give and there's flexibility. But as a beginning player, they need the stability of the birch. So I would go with the birch handle. Huh?
I only use birch.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like rattan.
You don't like the feel of it, huh?
No, because it like,
Really?
it feels like I have to like flick it.
Personal preference, yeah. Personal preference. Yeah. Most players I know use rattan, xylo, and bell mallets could go either way, but xylo mallets and marimba mallets. But again, personal preference. You don't have any instruments. That picture was actually taken during one of our LAUSD strikes where I was out there with a bucket drum. So, no instruments? What do? You could do a body percussion piece. There are numerous body percussion pieces where it's pat, tap, clap, snap, all that stuff. All of that. Bucket drumming. Novelty, these are real pieces that I own. Habanera for 4 paper rippers. And we've done it, I don't know that I did it at Frost, but I did it with my private instruction percussion ensemble. And so you pre-rip the paper, and you get different grades of paper, like a computer paper would be a soprano, and then a little thicker, and then like cardboard stock would be your bass. Rip, 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 rip. Oh, it's hilarious, but it works. And then, yeah. And the piece for 4 paper bags, you have 4 paper bags, different size, like a big Trader Joe's bag, and then like maybe the size of a McDonald's bag, and then maybe a middle size, and then like if you went to the hardware store and you got screws or something in that little bag, and and you flick it, and at the end you blow it up and pop it. But there are novelty pieces like that. So if you don't have instruments, it's okay. There are pieces you could get. You could still do something. These are the places where I go most often. Pro Drum Shop, you can go there, I encourage you to go there, physically go there. They do have an online presence, but here's the thing. When you look online, sometimes they say, oh, I don't have that in stock, online on stock. But if you call them, oh yeah, we got it, no problem. So always call for Pro Drum. And the guys are great down there. They're so great. Sweetwater Music, online. Nick Rail, they have a shop in Santa Clarita, Agura, Camarillo. So they're local and they're online as well. So, now here, where do I get the music? Now, percussion ensemble music, just like any band or orchestra music, it's graded. Level 1 is welcome to the quarter note. Level 6 is college level. Okay, and in my years doing ensemble at Frost, we have never gotten to a level 6. We've gotten to level 5.5, but you know, let's face it, they're middle schoolers and they've only been playing for 3 years. You know what I mean? So it's like, whoa, that's some serious stuff. That's good. So these are all, I have various pieces from these different publishers. This one, Hal Leonard, the Leopard Percussion, they do a lot of really accessible pieces for young ensembles. And what's nice about these pieces, they're pop tunes, and usually there's a vibraphone solo or a xylophone solo that's, you know, you gotta work a little bit for it, but it's you can get it. But then the marimba parts, timpani parts, the other parts are very repetitive. The patterns, you got it once, you got it 500 times, and you're playing the tune. So these work very well. Drop 6 is the only one I'd watch out for, because they really do. They'll say level 2, but it's not a level 2. They'll say level 1, but it's not. So, Steve Weiss music is where you'll find a lot of the great, that's where I got habanera for paper rippers and the paper bag pieces. So you'll find novelty pieces here, but Roll-Off right here, they have a whole series called Bucket Sickles or whatever. They have their Sickles series. And let's see here. Tricycles, mallet sickles, and it's all these beginning pieces that are not very long at all, but easy setup. Do you know Procession of the Sonar? Wasn't that Rimsky-Korsakov? Yeah. Anyways, yeah, take a look through these if you like, but easily attainable pieces. So that's some of the places. And then here's the bottom line, just have fun. Do you recognize those guys?
That's Matthias and Ryan. The guy.
Yeah, that's Ryan, yeah. So that's really the bottom line. And then if you want ideas for percussion ensemble pieces, go to Robert Frost Percussion Ensemble on YouTube, and there's a bazillion videos that I've put up there. Or if you type in Tina 5 Curtis, that's the YouTube channel. So, any questions on any of this stuff? In the back.
So you talked about them learning like rhythms. How do you approach them to learning pitches, like while they're learning mallet? Like I saw in the video, like they're actually like looking up to read at the music. How do you get them to like actually read the music? Because I see like all the time they resist trying to read the music and just try to memorize the piece.
What you have to do is you have to get them, when they're first learning their scales, I tell them, we're the only set of instruments that don't touch the instruments with our hands. Everything else, every other instrument, you touch it physically. You cradle it, you hug it, you touch it with your mouth. But we touch via a mallet. That's it, unless you're playing congas or bongos. We don't touch our instrument. And so you have to have peripheral vision. And so when we're doing our scales, I'll have them do a C scale, and then I'll say, would you take a C5 note scale? Look at the keys. Da 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 dee, da 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 da. Now I want you to make your eyes look at the edge of the accidentals. Da 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 da, clang, 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 clang. Okay, good. Look back at the notes. Da 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 dee, da 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 da. Now I want you to look at the edge of the accidentals. Da da da, clang, clang, da 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 da. Good. Look back at the notes. So we're constantly coming back at looking at the notes to establish ourselves. Da 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 dee, da 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 da. Now look at the bass. The base of the music stand. The music stand's there, look at the base of the music stand. Da 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 dee, da 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 da. Look back at the notes. Da 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 da. Now look at the middle of the music stand. And so we do that with each of the scales. Just take a 5 note. Because it's a matter of building trust. Building trust with your peripheral vision. And then we'll take the treble clef. I'll take just treble clef worksheets. And I'll say, okay, where's that note on the keyboard? All right. Where's that one? All right. Where's that one? So we'll do that. And then I took, as I said, the beginning band methods usually start you in B flat. And so I just transposed them all into C. And I just took like their little tunes, like Merrily We Roll Along, Jingle Bells, the little tunes that are in there, Hot Cross Buns, just put them in C so they didn't have to worry about a B flat just yet, because we were just only doing a C major scale and a C5 note. And so then they're starting to get it. Now, okay, use a peripheral. Don't do ping pong eyes. Don't do ping pong, you're gonna lose your place. And I tell them, these guys will tell you, I tell them all the time, do not memorize your music. Because in the worst possible moment, your memory will fail you. But if you're used to reading it on the music, that's fine. You're gonna be fine. And the kids say, you know what, you were right. It totally went out. I couldn't remember a thing. The beginners. I was like, yeah, I told you. You gotta trust your peripheral vision. So I do that, and we do different exercises as well. And so, hopefully that answers your question.
When during the day do your percussion ensembles rehearse? Because I know Frost has a band program now, and so I imagine the kids' time is split and all that stuff.
They're only given one elective class.
Yeah.
So if they're in percussion ensemble, that's their elective.
So it's during the day?
It is during the day.
So it's not our thing with the concert bands?
No, the kids in band class are in band class, the kids in the percussion ensembles are in the percussion ensembles. So we meet during the school day, and we'll have after-school rehearsals, sectionals, and so forth. But it's during the school day. Yeah. Yeah.
So if they're practicing a hard percussion ensemble piece or something like that, what are your expectations as far as individual practice goes, and how do you set that up for them?
They do a practice record sheet. So here is a copy of the practice record sheet. You remember these? Yep. And so LAUSD put something out a number of years ago, that we aren't allowed to give more than 15 minutes of homework per day, per period, or per subject. Yet math somehow can do more.
I wish.
That came down and we were, so I asked for 15 minutes a day of practice. And do kids lie? Of course they do. You can't play to save yourself at all. You think I believe that you practice? No! So your grade will reflect it. You say you practice, but I'm adjusting the grade. So, anyways, so that's what I use. It's just personal preference. Some music teachers still use practice record sheets. Some they can't get the kids to turn them in, or it's not making any difference. So it goes with your expectation, your personal expectation, and how you're gonna hold them accountable. Some teachers say, oh, but it's harming their psyche. It's like, well, whatever, they need to play. If you wanna be in this group, you gotta practice, otherwise, I'm not gonna have you in the group, I'm not putting you on a stage. And so, that's just it. So, again, use what works for you, but this is how I laid it out, so.
Since I know that like a lot of keyboard instruments, if you don't have them at home and stuff like that, so do they practice like during class time or after, or?
So the 15 minutes can be done, the bell kits, Yamaha bell kits we have, and they can check those out and they can check out practice pads. Because a kid will say to me, oh, but I have a piano or a synth or a keyboard at home, can I use that instead of a bell kit? At first you could use that, but then I don't want you to use that because the action, if you have to do a roll, the action isn't coming back. And doing this is not the same as doing that. So at first, for, merrily we roll along and hot cross buns, okay. But then you gotta be on the instruments. So they can check out the bell kits, they can check out the practice pads. But if they wanna, and that gets them so that they know, okay, I'm moving this way, I use this sticking for this passage right here. But then my classroom is open before school, during nutrition, during lunch, and after school, and the kids practice on the, because obviously nobody's taking the timpani home. So, yeah.
Sorry, we are unfortunately out of meeting time, so if you're okay staying after, to answer more questions, that's fine, but I know people have places to be, so, anyway, thank you all for coming, and everyone, let's thank you, Chris, and let's take a photo, and then people that need to leave can leave, and we can keep answering questions.
So what was your question?
Was your